Well, tip up and learning to you. Sometimes in this game, things don't exactly go according to plan.
All right, you're not allowed to fish today. You can't fish today, you have to go home. Nice old cotton farm carp. First time I've fished it since 2002.
Wow, looking in for a carp, absolutely mega.
Do you know what, this man's going to try and save my life.
When Nick Elliott decided about midnight that we should go off and do some chicken hunting.
They even ride the cows in the field.
Yeah, Damien I think was trying to ride a cow or something.
Yeah.
and then Danny got his full swap round, kind of lost the plot a bit, didn't he?
Oh, got wet.
Yeah, proper wet.
So yeah, that was a good one.
Proper soaked.
Yo, yo, yo. Well, sometimes in this game, things don't exactly go according to plan and you have to pull out a plan B out of the bag. Today, we were meant to be down at Conning Brook with Lee Jackson, which I thought would be a great follow-up to talking to John Bird about the brook and two-tone. But unfortunately, after I was both travelling down there this morning, we arrived to speak to one of the anglers who said that they've been spawning. And as a result of that, we had to cancel that, make a new plan. We've been to a couple of other waters since, and now we've arrived at this lovely little place known as Cotton Farm. Now this is actually a lake that Lee runs himself. I did have a ticket for it myself about, oh God, probably about 12 years ago now, maybe, yeah, about that sort of time, I think. It's really hard to work out how long ago things were. But yeah, I don't think I ever caught anything. I think I only ever done one session down here for whatever reason. But yeah, as you can see, lovely little lake. It is surrounded by buildings and offices and whatever, so it's a little bit different to your sort of normal tranquil surroundings. But as I say, it's a nice place with some lovely fish in it, and it was our last option of the day, to be honest, which suits us both because it's local for both of us. We're going to do one night here. So Lee's been fishing donkey's years, so there's lots we can pick his brains about, and yeah, I'm looking forward to 24 hours in his company. He's just getting set up, so let's go and see him and see what he's thinking.
Right then, Lee, here we are at Cotton Farm. Wasn't the initial plan, but hey-ho.
No, that's right, the plan was to go to Conning Brook, wasn't it? You know, but it's that time of year where loads of lakes, the fish are spawning, and you know, you get there and it's not fair to be fishing for them, really, is it? You know, and yeah, I mean, last week was put off because unfortunately I actually had my dog put down, so which is, you know, it's horrible.
Heartbreaking.
You know, but I mean, when going back to Conning Brook, it would have been 21 years since I last fished it.
Wow.
Though I've run this place for 30 years, it's something like 22 years since, about 20 years since I last fished this.
Really?
Know? Yeah, it's, I mean, it's right on my doorstep, and it's a lovely little lake. It's got, as you can see, it's got a different atmosphere than most places, in the middle of a business park, all landscapes and everything. But you know, it's nice. One of these places where you go there with dirty boots and come home with clean ones. But I mean, the reason I stopped fishing it, you know, there used to be a very big common in here, which at times was, well, I think it was as big as 48 pound on one occasion.
It was a mega one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, when that died, I lost interest in the place, you know, and just moved on elsewhere. But it's. Yeah, various fish have been, some more fish stocked over the years. I mean, about the latest batch was about 6-7 years ago for a couple of fish farm fish like C3s and C4s, and they're all sort of putting on weight now. And yeah, the old linear is still in here. That's still the jewel in the crowd, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And but by and large, people like fishing down here. You know, it's. I mean, it's a syndicate water, so it's a limited amount of members, and as far as syndicates go, it's not expensive for really, you know. And but more to the point, I think, you know, it's safe down here. I mean, even though there's a pub on it, there's never no problems, you know. There's a cafe at the end of the pub up there, and yeah, it's just unique, really.
It is, yeah. I did actually have a ticket for myself quite a long time ago, didn't I?
Oh, that's right,
for one
yeah.
season, I think. I only maybe come up here once or twice, but Yeah, I think that was after that big common.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this season so far. I mean, season I say started April the 1st. Albeit there's no close season. We don't close it any time apart from spawning. And yeah, it's not fished so well this year so far. You know. I mean, there's a few people done okay, you know, but it's been a little bit different this year. I mean, and I think I've been noticing it on a few lakes. So I think a lot of the time we're about a month behind, really. I think, you know, we've not the sort of forage and all that growing and everything, but a lot of lakes, I think they haven't really kicked in to their full like spring. Yeah, what they normally like in spring. I know it's sort of nearly summer, or it might even be classed as summer now. I don't know. And yeah, but there's quite a few come out. There's quite a few come out, and up to the Lily has been out once, and the guy had never caught it before, so it obviously made his day, and it's great, you know.
Lovely.
And but now we come over here for. I mean, I only live, so if I get fed up with it and nothing's happening, go home. It's only 2 miles away from here where I live, so it's you know, but it's nice to be out sometimes, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not all about. Yeah, we all want to catch fish, but sometimes it's just sitting out in the great outdoors and enjoying the environment, whatever, you know. But I can imagine these tufted ducks are going to be a little bit of a problem later. There's quite a lot of tufties on here, and you know, already they're. I mean, we frightened them off once, but they soon come back.
One interesting thing I remember about this place was the crabs.
Yeah, this place was one of the first places, well, the first place, I think, where they was discovered, because it was not long after I took the place over, and it had a terrible problem with eels in here, and there was close season back then and everything, and I got a friend of mine to put some eel nets in there in the close season to get rid of like the eels, you know, because people just couldn't fish with boilies or things like that, and I think in the close season he took over 1,000 pound in weight of eels away from the lake. So I took quite a few out, and the following close season I said to him, I said, would you do us a favour, would you put your eel nets in again, just to, you know, if there's any stragglers and all that, you know? And he said, yeah, of course I will. Well, the first time he lifted his his nets, he said to me, he rang me and he said, Lee, I've got a crab in the. I said, it must be a crayfish. He said, oh, I know what a crayfish it looks like. This ain't a crayfish, this is a crab. And after that, he started getting loads of them, like, you know, and the worst thing was they was all carrying eggs, all bundles of eggs, like, you know, so. And I reported it to the Natural History Museum. Someone suggested to Alwyn Wheeler, and you know, I never heard of him, you know. And then suddenly, the
birds are in already.
The tufted ducks are quite friendly. Well, at least you can find me bait. Yeah, and. Yeah, it became a problem. I mean, basically, what they said was they'd come across in cargo trips from ships from China, I suppose, and just sort of, you know, got into the Thames and whatever. I mean, the Thames is just over the back here, really, and then from the Thames they went into the Medway and yeah, lots of places there, loads of problems with them, you know.
Just bred like mad.
Yeah, I mean, when I was fishing it at the time, they was a nightmare, you know. I mean, what I used to do, it was more of a nightmare of a night. It wasn't just necessarily in the daytime, but it was a night time. And what I used to do, I used to put, this is a little tip for anyone who's fishing, you know, with nuisance things about, you know, like that. I used to get a couple of kilo-old ground bait, and I done concentrated a lot of my fishing over there, what we call the small beach. And just before dark, I put about 2 kilo of ground bait, cheap old ground bait out there, and which enabled me to fish me spots. You know, because when it got dark, you shine your torch down there, and you could see them all marching across all the crabs, like, you know, and you know, it kept them busy for a few hours, like, you know, and you know, they weren't. I think every crab in the lake probably went over there.
Really?
Yeah, and but then suddenly they sort of disappeared. You know, they've had problems with them for about 3 years, and as did a lot of other places. And then all of a sudden they, you know, whether they, don't know, something to do with the climate or something like that, you know, they just didn't, you know, or they had one lot of eggs and that they hatched and, you know, didn't reproduce, or who knows, you know. But they don't seem too much of a problem now, thank God.
Well, you got one rod out.
Yeah.
We've just got our first, or just made us a cup of tea, first one of the day, even though it's what, like, time is it now, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
So we both were desperate for that. Yeah, well, I'll let you get that other rod out.
Get the other rod out and yeah, just chill for a little while. And yeah, I think, you know, from what I can make out from most of the bites that have been on here recently have been like early-ish morning and maybe the night, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, after dark. So, you know, so plenty of time.
So we've got a rough plan of attack then, Lee?
Yeah, just sitting here thinking about really what. I mean, I'm not really going to put anything bait-wise out at the moment because of these tufted ducks and that, you know. Just, I think I might just probably just fish boilies, you know. A few boilies round a little bait and a bag with a few bits in it and see what happens. Because a lot of the fellas over here don't do that, you know. They've been using, you know, corn and all that. I mean, some of them have been catching, but a lot of them haven't, you know. And I mean, I think sometimes they just like a few boilies, didn't they, you know? I mean, 2 years ago, I actually designed a bait with a company called Clear Margin, and we had the Entice bait, and it absolutely took this lake apart, you know. And so they obviously like boilies. Yeah. But it's a case of people putting them in, you know. Once they get, you know, used to picking them up again and all that. I know sometimes this time of year can be a particle type time of year anyway, but you know, not always, you know. And yeah, so I might just use the boilie approach, you know. Well, on 2 rods anyway. I might put one on with some corn and whatever.
And you say it's fairly uniform once you get past that marginal shelf?
It's really, yeah. It drops down to about 11 foot is deepest, you know. Yeah. Much
in the way of nuisance species, or?
Tench is probably the nuisance species in here, you know, and as I can hear, you know, talking about boilies, there was a fellow who joined it specifically to catch the tench, because there was, I mean, it's tench to a while ago. There was a tench of 15 pound caught out of here, you know. Wow. That's without spawn, and he joined it to fish specifically for the tench, and I said to him, I mean, the carp anglers are catching on boilies. So I said to him, you want to use boilies? No, and he didn't use, like, he used conventional sort of tench baits, whatever conventional tench baits are, and then it's not until he changed to boilies that he started catching, you know, and had some good fish as well, you know, and he had carp as well, like you would, like, you know, and yeah, so there's plenty of tension here, and they're obviously breeding here because they, you know, the numbers seem to grow and grow and grow. But apart from that, there's not much else in here. There's a big pike in here apparently that people tell me about, but I haven't seen it. Well, I've only walked around it. I don't, you know, this is first, as I said, this is the first time I've fished it for ages. And but no, so it's, you know, if you get a bite, it's probably going to be a carp or a tench, you know. Yeah, it's. I mean, years ago when it was a bit different than this, with its full size. I mean, there was lots of roach in here, rudd and stuff like that. And then I think Jerry Savage, who used to run it for quite a few years, you know, he stocked some pike in here, big pike, and basically that was the end of the roach and the rudd, you know. Yeah, so it's but no, it's predominantly carp. It's not one of these lakes where you can go around with a float rod and catch a load of little uns and stuff like that, you know.
So I'll get away with a few maggots in my mix.
Yes, definitely, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Right, so I think we're going to double up in here, aren't we? I'll go on the right hand side.
I think so, yeah, that's probably the best, yeah.
So I'm going to...
right hand side, and I don't know if there is a best side, but you know.
Cool, all right mate, well I'll get me marker rod out and have a little lead around.
That's it, yeah.
Find a couple of spots and get some rods out.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll have a job.
Right, just had a little flick down this margin here. There's a lovely little clear gravel spot just off of some pads, literally sort of 2 foot off of them. Feels about 8 foot deep, so nice bit of depth there as well. Out to the left there's quite a lot of low-lying silkweed, nothing too appealing, but I have found a spot in amongst it, a bit more to the right of that. And I think I'm just going to go with 2 rods because obviously we're doubled up in here and I don't want to overcrowd the swim, if you like. Sometimes less is more. But yeah, 2 spots down this right-hand side here, 3 spoms of this mix on top, which I've already just put out. It's a lovely mixture of hemp, tigers, maggots, some ground bait, and there's a few other little particles in there as well. Oh, and some the old Himalayan salt meat. Got to have a bit of that in there, ain't you? Especially at this time of year. So yeah, nice little mix. 2 rods over the top of that. I'm not exactly sure what hook baits yet. Probably tigers, maybe like balanced tigers. So yeah, ready to go. Let's get these rods sorted. Right, well, rods are out. Bivvy's up, ready for action. Come on the old linear. It's a mega carp, that one. Like classic, kind of zipped in. It's quite old now as well, it's been in here a long time. So yeah, hopefully we're going to get in amongst them. Sort of have to work around these big boulders here. Obviously probably would have been better off putting the bivvy there as far as like the old feng shui is concerned. But I always like to be able to see where I'm fishing. Obviously at night time, you know if they're out there, if you're watching the water, you see the rings, etc, etc. And in the morning when you first wake up, you know, I don't want to be walking about to have to sort of sit there watching over my spot. So from here I can pretty much see both of them. Like I say, I've put a bit of particle out there, so I imagine if the fish do get on it, there should be some sort of indications, you know, a bit of bubbling going on. Hopefully we're going to wake up in the morning to a couple of jacuzzis and a ripper, a wanger on the banger, as the Don would say. That fountain's, yeah, constantly making me need a tiddle, which isn't ideal round here with these officers surrounding you. Right, Lee's just gone to get his bed. When he's back and he's got himself sorted, maybe we'll have a little chat, go back to the old days, because obviously he's been fishing a hell of a long time. Yeah, he's been around the block a bit and caught plenty of big carp, so lots of experience and lots of good stories, I imagine. Looking forward to it. Well, it's been quite a long day, isn't it, considering?
Yes, really, yeah. We've only been fishing a little while, haven't we? You know,
covered a few miles.
Yeah, used a bit of petrol, or wasted a bit of petrol or diesel, what should I say, you know, and but it is what it is, and at this time of year, you know, you have to consider that lakes, they might be spawning, you know,
yeah.
and you know, and I mean, years ago, they didn't use to close lakes, basically. I mean, you'd have a 3-month close season, and it'd be a bit of a cheek, like, you know, if it come after June 16th when they started spawning, then you know, it was, you know, people wouldn't like if they closed the lake down. And to be honest with you, it didn't ever cause any problems for the carp, you know. I can remember fishing Arrow, like, you know, famous water in the Kong Valley, you know, and fish used to spawn out, you know, big ones as well, like out on the bars, and you know. And funny enough, it used to fish well, but it was a malefish. The malefish was sort of, you know, mad for a bit of food, you know. I mean, a lot of the biggers in there were malefish as well, you know. And yeah, it's.
They don't spawn at the same time.
They don't, do they? No. I mean, this lake's a prime example. It's, you know, they'll have a little go, and then, you know, you close it, and like a week later you open it, and then 2 weeks after that you're closing it again or whatever. So I always think that the best thing to do, especially as a syndicate lake, it's a bit different on like a club water maybe, or a public water. Although I don't think the public waters, the day ticket waters, they close them anyway. I don't know. Some they probably do. Yeah, it's it's just relying on your anglers to be. This is a syndicate and limited number of members, and just say to me, use your loaf if they're spawning in. Just reel in, and.
I mean, they did used to normally spawn in that closed season, didn't they? So do you think the season sort of shifted a bit over the years?
I don't know really.
Do you think, like, did they?
I suppose it has got warmer. I mean, for a start, we don't get really cold winters now, do we? So that might be sort of, a lot of stuff hasn't died off like it's normally died off. Like, there's still a bit of weed left maybe and stuff like that. And
the water hasn't got to warm up quite as much, has it?
That's right.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's got to get just as warm. It's not as cold as starting point.
Yeah. So it might be they just start. Everything's come forward a little bit. Which it obviously has, because now most of them have had it over and done with, haven't they? Well, when you think of it, on a lot of lakes they're spawning now, and so this would still be the close season, wouldn't it? So yeah, but it's I mean, I think the temperatures of things have changed so much, and I used to like it when it was proper winter fishing, and when it it got cold in November. And stay predominantly cold till the end of the season, basically, sort of middle of March, And
do you think the winters used to fish better then, when it was more consistently cold?
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you was fishing. I mean, some lakes I've never found weedy lakes to be particularly productive in the winter, and I think a lot of it is the fish just getting nestled into the weed, and sort of it's like us putting an extra jumper on, or as we discussed earlier, it could be down to oxygen. It's because there's more dark hours on a weedy lake. There's more dark hours, or any lake. There's more dark hours than light hours. So therefore, you got in the dark hours that dying weed is still taking oxygen. So it could be the lakes are really weedy lakes are really badly oxygen. Well, not badly, but
yeah.
I mean, oxygen is so important to fish, and so I mean, this lake was a prime example. I mean, this used to be really weedy. Never done any fishing in the winter hardly, and but since they put these aerators, a few come out, and but I do think a lot's to do with it is bait as well. I can't that lakes don't fish so well, because I've never been a lover of using a fish meal based bait in the winter, and the reason being, I mean, I used to know a fellow who was real high up in the koi world, and when I said about fish meal, he said, what, you're horrified? What, you put fish meal in your winter bait? I said, yeah. He said, if I'd done that with my koi, I would kill them,
Really?
And he explained. He said that they haven't got the enzyme that enzymes are sort of driven by pH and temperature. And he said, like things like fish meal, the water temperatures don't come up unless it's an heated pond or something like that. They don't come up high enough for the fish to be able to digest fish meal properly,
Right.
And he said that's why you look at all these koi feeds. The difference between the summer one and the winter one is the winter ones got weak germid and no fish meal. He said, well, what happens? He said it won't stop the fish eating it, but it can sort of a load of bacteria build up inside the fish's system, and it can die as a result of it,
Wow.
So so it always makes me think, and that is really has been my. I know there's some very well-known anglers, will argue with that, but so be it. I can only think what I think,
Yeah.
When we was using the old milk protein baits, bird food baits and things like that, they seem to really work spot on in the winter,
Once they can digest it.
And the Richworth tutti fruit is really, really digestible, wasn't it, And But I don't know. It might be the fact that people put more bait in now. You know, they use a lot more bait than. But I mean, back then as well, if you was fishing this, concentrated on one water, you normally had your bait going in all the time, and it got better and better as the year went on, as the season went on, and a lot of the times in the winter, if you're fishing like a productive winter lake, it was only needed single hook baits, and that's why I'm still confident with using single hook baits, because a lot of people are not, are they?
No.
But I'm happy to cast a single out there, and the carp will find it if they want it,
I'd say 95% of anglers, just don't use them.
No, that's right.
I'm the same. I use them a hell of a lot, and have caught a lot of, quick fish as a result of that.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's just that goes down to that thing, and if there's just one, item there that's grabbing their attention, then all their energy and focus is on that, isn't it? They've got nothing to compare it to. And
that's right. But getting back to how we started fishing, my dad took me to Keston Ponds, and I can remember being up the top of this tree and looking down into it, and he taught me a setup from walrus. Didn't know nothing about fishing, so the line was probably about 18 pounds. There was a great big float on it and everything, and I suppose my young mind at the time thought, well, if you've got big tackle, you catch big fish, And anyway, I was hanging out this tree, and it might be a bit before your time, but there was a TV programme called Yogi Bear, and there was the ranger character who had a brown uniform with ranger written on it, and I'm up this tree, and all of a sudden this fella with a brown uniform with ranger written on the hat. And I said, "Oi, you're not allowed to fish today. You can't fish today. You have to go home." So he slung us off, and I mean, my dad protested a little bit. He said, "No, there's no fishing at the moment." Well, anyway, when I further on in years, when I found out, there was such thing as a close season. I thought, how unlucky did you catch? How unlucky are you? The season, you went fishing for the first time ever, and it's the day before, because it was June the 15th, before the fishing season started, But then, like at school, when I went, in my primary school, I lived in Deptford, which in comparison to coming out to Dartford and Walton Kirby and what, it was like going out in the country for us boys, and I took to it straight away. Most of our fishing was on Walton Kirby. We get a train from Deptford Station or New Cross Station to Dartford, and if we were fishing Dartford lakes, we just walk over to the lakes, and or Walton Kirby, we'd get a bus down to Walton Kirby, and I loved it. I was a member of the Carp District Angling Club, and one week you go away freshwater fishing, normally to rivers, and the next Sunday you'd go back on sea fishing. So I've done a lot of sea fishing as well, and
bit better in them days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
More productive.
Yeah, I used to do loads of sea fishing, but when I was, in the latter years when I was doing it, you'd have you'd be a Dungeness, and you got a trawler like 100 yards out, you could cast it, and but no, I got, but how I got into carp fishing, it was one day at Walton Kirby, and I was on the bottom lake, and we heard a commotion going on the lake, on the top lake, and went running up there, and this fella's playing a fish, and played a carp, and I was quite impressed with with the way it was fighting and everything, and he landed it, and it weighed 14 pounds, and I'm thinking, oh, size of that, look at that, look, blimey, and me and my mates went back to our swims, and then about half hour later, there was another commotion going on up there, and went up there. His mate's got one on now, and coincidentally that was 14 pounds something again. And I went back to my swim on the bottom lake, cast out my float like, and it went poof, and I thought, what's the point? It's just going to be another roach, And so that was really the start of my carp fishing. And so this was 1970, and I nagged my mum for to. You know, there weren't many places where you could buy carp rods and things like that back then, you know. And but there was Bennett's of Sheffield. I mean, a lot of the older people listening to this will know Bennett's of Sheffield.
It used to be on the back of Angling Times.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they had a mail order service, like, you know, which was quite good at the time. And I nagged my mum for a carp rod, and she bought me a Fast Strike Davenport and Fordham rod, like, you know. And it was a copy of the Jerry Savage carp rod, actually, you know, but it was like a honey colour. And no such thing as test spurs back then. It was standard or stepped up, you know. So she bought me this and a Mitchell 324 reel. I think it was a 324. It's called, and that was it, you know. And then so in 1970, but what we used to do, I'd go down there, drop down the lake, or get on buses or trains and whatever, and I'd cast the carp rod out and just carry on float fishing with other rod. But to be honest with you, I wasn't taking enough attention at the carp fishing. You know? I couldn't sort of stop catching the fish on the other rod, and consequently I caught nothing in 1970. You know? I think I lost a couple, you know, and but I didn't actually. And then, you know, that sort of close season, I nagged my mum for. I thought, I'm just going to do carp fishing now. So I nagged her for another rod and reel, and she bought me another rod and reel. It had to be mashing, but this time she bought me the stepped up version, which was more powerful, and that was it. I started catching carp straight away. And funny thing is, back then though, I mean, we all talk about zig rigs, don't we? And you know, well, lots of people talk about zig rigs, and back then, and it was 2 rods, and I don't think it was hardly anywhere where you was allowed 3 rods. It was 2 rods maximum, and you'd start out the session with 1 rod on the bottom and 1 rod we had anchored up crust, like, you know, you'd sort of have it sort of running, if you like, and you know, you let line out so that it come up, raise up to the surface. That's it, and that was it. We started off with 1 on floating crust and 1 on the bottom. 9 times out of 10, you ended up with 2 rods on floating crust, because it was that much more productive, you know. And yeah, and I think that's the case now, really. A lot of times these fish spend a hell of a lot of time up in the surface layers, don't they, you know. And but unfortunately, even in the winter, but unfortunately, as I don't like zig fishing, but because I don't like all the messing about with all the stuff, and unfortunately, a lot of fish get foul hooked, don't they? You know, on some waters, you know. I mean, I've caught carp on zigs, you know, don't get me wrong, but last year on the Tip Lake was a prime example. In the winter, it fished its head off, all on zigs, but there were so many fish getting foul hooked, you know, we had to sort of ban it in the end,
right.
You know, stop it, you know, and it just wasn't fair, like, you know. But no, anyway, my fishing progressed from that, and you gradually sort of get better at it, you know. I was obsessed over everything was I lived, ate, and everything else carp fishing.
So you just like teaching yourself, or was there other people you're learning off?
Yeah, you do learn. Yeah, you weren't sort of. It was very sort of secretive back then. You know, I mean, people wouldn't tell you things, but you know, you learnt by yourself or learnt by watching people as well. You know, I mean, and to be honest with you, like the Dartford area of Kent, I think, like the anglers, the quality of the anglers fishing that was quite high, you know, because I mean, you look at how many things was invented in Kent, like, you know, the air rig and things like that, and boilies, and because where Dartford is, it's easy for people from Essex to go to, or people in London to go to. So the likes of Dartford Lakes, Alton Kirby and all that, and Darren, and especially the big lake, you know, they're attracted. Who?
Brooklands?
Yeah, Brooklands, yeah, Brooklands, Dartford, yeah.
There's a bar in there, isn't there, named after, what's his name? Jack Hilton.
A bar? I didn't know there was a bar in there.
Yeah, Hilton's Bar or something.
Oh, is it?
Apparently
Right.
there used to be a swim named after him or something.
Oh, that's new to me. I've never heard that. You know. But, yeah, but I mean, you had like the likes of Pete Springate coming in. You know, he sort of learnt his trade predominantly on Dartford Big Lake, and other anglers. You know, well-known anglers, Kerry Maddox, and you know, and that's it. And you progress it. But I was absolutely obsessed, you know, with it, and that's what I want to do: go carp fishing, and I don't know. There's some point where you get confident, if you know what I mean. You know, you're really confident. You've learnt a lot, obviously, and it becomes a lot easier. You know, and I don't know. So I think sometimes it's like an instinctive thing. You know, I think some more successful anglers have got more instincts. You know, they know what to do, or they're watching the water all the time, whereas some people are not. You know.
But generally, I mean, that mostly only really comes from experience, isn't it? Like the more fishing you do, the more that natural instinct kind of kicks in.
Yeah, but that's if people take a notice. Some people don't, do they? They don't take. You know, they can go fishing a lot, but they don't seem to be. You know, I don't know. You know, it's just something you're born with. I think a natural instinct for something. You know, you know, I mean, someone else might be good at sort of doing, you know, racing a motorbike or something like that, and you know, but because they know exactly what to do, and you know, and yeah, and that's it.
It's that hunting instinct, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and yeah, gradually it's. But yeah, then but then basically it became my job as well, you know. And I mean, I was a dustman for 14 years, and to be honest, I left school with a good education, and only really took the dustman's job as a part-time thing. Not a part-time thing, a temporary thing, you know. But the thing is, it was job and knock, like, you know. So, you know, and people used to think they're lazy so-and-so's dustman, but that weren't the case. Like, you know, I mean, I was working in Peckham in, you know, and big heavy metal bins and things like that. I mean, it got me really fit, but more to the point, as soon as you've done your day's work, you could go home, and it was perfect for if you know, I'd go carp fishing in the afternoon, like, you know, and then go home for my dinner, you know, and yeah, that was great. I mean, I think like likes of Terry Earn, I think he was a postman, wasn't he? And who was the Essential Products fella? Mike Wilmot, I think he was a postman as well, I think, and a lot of people, and I think, and it's perfect for, you know,
it's funny, isn't it?
If you've got an hobby, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember even myself, you know, sort of, before, as I left school and went into college, I had quite a lot of older fishing friends, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but one of them was a printer, and he'd do like 4 on, 4 off. And I thought, oh, I could do a bit of that. That'd be good for me fishing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Getting a job which fits in with your hobby.
Yeah, I mean,
or obsession.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, we're lucky we could do that, though, weren't we? You know, a lot of people are 9 to 5 jobs, Monday to Friday, so they can only fish weekends. So therefore, they're a little bit, you know, against it, because there's a lot of other anglers that can only fish weekends, so consequently getting a swim is not so, you know, not so easy and everything, but you know.
A lot more so like back then as well, isn't it? Because I mean, these days a lot of people have got different types of jobs, and they're, you know, they're not always working in the week, and like it's almost like some lakes are just as busy in the week as they are at weekends.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I mean, I used to. Yeah, I always remember when I read Terry Earn's first book, you know, in Pursuit of the Largest. You know, in the bit when he said he was a postman and all that, and he's doing his postman round and getting out, you know, going fishing before his postman round or whatever. And I thought, how did he do that? You know, and I mentioned it to Rod Hutchinson one. I was a good friend of Rod's, and I mentioned it to Rod one day. He said, "Yeah, but Lee, you used to do that, didn't you?" And I thought, I did. Yeah, I'd get up at sort of. When I was fishing Arrow, I'd get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which was a job to do, like, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, drive to 70 miles to the Colne Valley, do a few hours fishing, then come back and go work. You know,
Takes a lot of determination, dedication.
Yeah, that's
it?
right. Yeah, yeah. What I used to like about it most, though, especially in the summer, but especially, is it was an effort to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. But once I was up, you know. And but when I got to the lake, and you know, by sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, I used to think to myself, how much people have missed. You know, because when I was going to work, I think to myself, these people, how much I've seen this morning, like saying the sunrise, and I've seen all this, and you know, and these people don't know what they're missing, like, you know, and yeah, so it's.
So on that note, I mean, one of the reasons I started this channel is because I had a couple of years off fishing, got back into it, and then suddenly realised the massive benefits it has for us, you know, our kind of mental health, mental wealth, whatever you want to call it. Is that something you've noticed over?
Oh yeah, no, undoubtedly, yeah, undoubtedly. I can't. I'm terrible. Yeah, before I was married to the lovely lady I'm married to now. You know. My ex had left me. The only company I had, well, I was getting indoors, the only company I had was our little dog. The little dog, you know, and he kept me sane, you know, and because I'm terrible, I can't sit indoors by myself. I just can't handle it, you know what I mean? It's you know, but I could go fishing, I could sit here forever and not see a person and be happy, like, you know, and I think I call it the great outdoors, you know, and I just love it, and you know, all the little bits you see and all that. Sometimes it's a bit of a pain, isn't it, when it's pissing down with rain, you've got to pack up all your stuff, or you're getting wet, or it's cold or whatever. But you know, you get back in the van, get home, and you forgot all about that, and you know, want to go again, don't you? You know, and yeah, and it's but it's. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be sort of still carp fishing as long as I'm able, you know.
So if someone, a non-fisherman, said to you, why'd you go carp fishing? Why'd you love it? What would your answer be? Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, it's they're still probably the most intelligent fish, and they look different to each other, don't they? If you went roach fishing, they look pretty much the same, don't they? If you look at barbel, they look very much the same. Where carp they're different characters, and and all that. And I think I like everything about it. Like all the, you know, it makes you think, doesn't it? You know, a lot. It keeps your brain sort of active, doesn't it? You know, where, you know,
keeps you in the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know, you're always
and
scanning
like
the
sort
water,
of, you know, thinking about bait and all things like this, and you know, rigs and you know. I mean, I can overcomplicate it, but you know, when it's quite simple, really. But you know, but my head wants to complicate it, you know, and yeah. But it's, I think it's just a general thing. I mean, I don't like it as much as I used to like it, because it used to be more exciting. You know what I mean? Where you didn't know all the fish, and you know, you didn't know what the biggest one in the lake was. And whereas now, you know, most people, or most lakes, you know what's in there, don't you? You know, and there's not many lakes now that, and it's become ever so easy to catch them, really, isn't it? You know, in comparison to what it used to be, you know, because there weren't as many places, you know, and a lot of people new to it, they've missed out, really. You know, it's you know, good luck to them, but you know. I had a young lad a few years ago when I was fishing Brooklands at Slodland, and in the winter time, and I was just packed up and you know, packing up to go work, and this youngster walks along and he says to me, "Any good, mister?" I said, "Yeah, I've caught one." He said, "Oh, how big?" I said, "Oh, 14 pound." And he sort of went. I said, "Hang on." I said, "I'm really pleased I've caught a 14 pounder, because I've come here carp fishing. It's not easier in the winter, and I've caught a carp. So I happen to be really pleased with that, you know." And yeah, perhaps he didn't get it, but you know, but that's you know, it's all about size now. Sometimes, isn't it? You know, but the problem is there's a lot of people in carp fishing who's not prepared to learn, aren't there? You know, new people. They think they got it all, you know, and you know, because they can watch it on YouTube or whatever, or you know, yeah. I mean,
buy a ready rig.
Everyone, yeah. We said I use ready rigs now. I use the, I use them. Oh, I can't tire them. When you get older, our eyes are shot to bits a little bit, and you know, people say about the. About ready-made rigs, but I've got no problem. I'll use the, I think what they're called, Gemini Carp.
Right.
You know, they're
like the booms and that.
Yeah, the boom things, and they're great because I can put it on there, like, you know, and it lasts ages, and you know, just change my hook when I want it, you know, and it works, you know.
That's it, yeah.
And I can't do all that, you know, how they do them knots. Well, it's not knots, is it? It's, you know, they sort of. I forget what they call it now. Yeah.
The crimping in it.
No, it's not a crimping. It's yeah.
Oh, well, they're the Gemini ones.
Yeah,
they're sort of fused, aren't they?
Fused, that's it.
Yeah,
Fused. That's the word
yeah.
I was looking for. Yeah. But no, it's. I mean, other companies do them as well. You know, I think Cord perhaps do as well, and you know, and. But no, it's all there on you. You know, but it's. Yeah, I can't see me ever getting fed up with it. Really, you know, it's. Yeah. But I still get that buzz when that bobbing goes, you know, and that's if that goes away, then you know, it's I don't know, perhaps it's time to pack up, but I can't imagine that ever going away, you know. A nice wake up call. Real nice one for Joe this morning as well. Just a little while ago, and then I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself because I had a bite, and off it went. I don't know if it's a big one, but who's worried? There you go. Nice looking one by the look of it. Lovely looking carp. Look at that one. I think I'm going to do the other two as well, and because I'm going to put one round here a little bit shorter as well. I think there's a bit of bubbly round there. I don't know if it's gases or what it is, but it's no, you never know. And Cotton Farm of old, I used to sort of catch them at close range, so you know, that's. You know, a lot of times we make the mistake of casting about in the middle and then not in the middle at all, you know. Right, not a big one, but he doesn't know he ain't big, but he's beautiful. And yeah, nice old cotton farm carp. First time I've fished it since 2002. So it's yeah, nice to get one on the bank.
That's a cracker, mate.
Yeah.
A lovely fish there, and they sort of darken up, I guess, with the weed and the...
Probably around about 15 pound, I would think, for a fed of it, something like that.
Yeah, lovely. Well done. Wow, look at him for a carp. Absolutely mega. Big sort of double roll in here. Lovely bit of length to him. Nice colour. Mint condition. What a wicked creature. Yes. It's definitely made the old trip worthwhile, this one. Sat there this morning and thought, oh no, it's not looking that great. And yeah, not long after, this fella picked up the bait. Come on a little popped up tiger, sort of half a cork ball, a little bit of tiger on top of it, on a spinner rig. Slightly softer boom on this one because the spot was a bit softer, it wasn't rock hard gravel. So yeah, a little softer boom just enables it to sit over some light silkweed or whatever without any stiff bits sticking up. Well happy with him. Right, we'll get him back and then have another chat with Lee about a few other bits and pieces. Happy days.
That's a cracker, that is.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Definitely one for the future, eh, mate?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it wasn't a bad little morning's fishing, was it?
Ah, that's right, yeah. It's just nice to get one each, isn't it? You know?
It's always nice when pull one out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably your first, I mean, I know you fished it a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't catch one.
No,
yeah.
Right, yeah, so it's great, like, you know. And yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, you've had a result if you catch one each, and you know.
Definitely.
And yeah, they're both nice fish, and yeah, and
lovely
time
jubbly.
for another one, hopefully, like, you know. But it's obviously, it seems, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was up quite a bit in the night and looking, and you know, because of the lights on the lake, you can see pretty well, can't you?
Yeah, it doesn't really get properly dark down here.
It didn't really look any live. I didn't see any fish jump or anything, like, you know, hear any fish jump, so it didn't look sort of pretty dead like, you know.
Yeah.
But there we go, just switched on just like that.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Right, I thought we'd have a little chat with you about, well, a few different bits and pieces really, but first of all, you've recently retired, yeah?
No, not really. No, I've left the tackle box after 32 years of, but because I've got still got a mortgage until I'm 66 now, so I do get my pension, yeah. But I can't retire because I've still got a mortgage of over £1,000 till I'm 70 years old, unfortunately, really? Like, you know, and but it is what it is. So I do a bit of work here and there, and you know, but yeah.
So how many years in the tackle box was it in the end?
32 years.
32.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a long old stint.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and yeah, good times there, and you know, but like all things. All good things come to an end though sometimes, don't they, you know, and I think what it was with me, when we had the first lockdown, because I was self-employed, you know, the government were sort of sorting me out and all that, and if you remember a bit, it was quite nice weather and everything, and I was really enjoying it, you know, and getting lots of stuff done in the garden, indoors, and quite a bit of fishing in, like 3 short sessions, 3 day sessions a week and stuff like that, and yeah, really enjoying it. So it was a bit of a rehearsal for retirement, even though I couldn't afford to retire, but you know.
So it gave you a little taste of freedom that you hadn't really had before, because you've always had to work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the thing is, you know, when you think of it, you know, life's too short, really. You know, you can spend all your life working, can't you?
It's a bit of a trap, isn't it, really? You like, just get sucked into
I mean, really, recently, it's really sort of brought it home to me with like what happened to my mate Paul Forward, one of my best mates, like, you know, and you know, he dies of motor neuron disease, and it's terrible, you know. So, and I had, obviously, I said to you that I had a cancer scare over Christmas, and that brings it home to you. You think, Christ, you know, I've got to, you know, it turns out it wasn't cancer, which is, you know, but when you hear that word, you know, it's the end of the world for you, you know. Turned mine and my wife's world upside down, you know. And
done you a favour though in the end though, didn't it? Because it made you stop smoking.
I did, yeah. Yes, yeah. I mean, I stopped drinking over 10 years ago, but smoking was always going to be the most difficult one, because with the drinking, I didn't wake up in the morning and want to drink. You know, it hadn't got to that stage. You know, I've no doubt it would have done. You know, but with the smoking, I wake up in the morning and craving for a fag, like, you know, and chain smoke cigarettes, and smoked since I was 14 years old. You know, and but I always remember when I went into it, and the doctor told me about the cancer thing. You know, he said to me, the good thing, he said, you look like you're quite fit for your age, like, you know, and cancer treatment has come on leaps and bounds in recent years. He said, so you know, once I know what I'm up against, because he actually thought it was cancer himself, like, you know, otherwise he wouldn't have said it. And he said, because you look quite fit, he said you look like I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at it if I need to, you know, and you look like you can fight it, you know. He said, and then he said, but when you're going to pack up smoking? I said, well, he said, look, you smoked. He said, you smoked since you was 14 years old, you know, and now you're 60 years old, like, you know, 61 years old or whatever it was, sorry, 65 years old, which I was at the time, and you know, he said, I'll tell you what, you promised me you'll pack it over Christmas, because this was the day before Christmas Eve, and I thought about it, and you know, and I thought to myself, you know what, this man's going to try and save my life. You know, I ought to try and save my life, and so that was it. That was the incentive to packing it up, and I packed it up completely cold turkey, no vapes or anything like that, or patches, and you know.
Was it hard?
Yes and no. Because I'd packed up alcohol with him, you know, you have a sort of like a program. I mean, I just don't pick up a drink one day at a time, and I can't possibly get drunk, you know. And after a while, you don't want to drink, and when you pack up smoking, or when I packed up smoking, I just speak for me really, it makes you realise how habitual it is, you know, and a little bit of it's a craving. But when you consider how quickly nicotine goes from your body, what are you craving? You know, so it's a lot of time. It's just you know, you get up in the morning, you light up a fag, then you have another one straight after, or you know, you go on a journey, which is a regular journey, and you get in the van and you light up a fag, like, you know, and chain smokes them when I go fishing and all that, and yeah, and it's just. I mean, you just have to sort of blot it out, and I read a book by Alan Carr, it's easy to pack up smoke, or easy way to pack up smoking or whatever, and that helped me a big
yeah,
style,
recommend
you know?
that, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is with it, it's like reverse psychology, you know. Where I would, you know, normally feel sorry for myself because I've packed up smoking, I ain't smoking, you know, I'm delighted, you know, that I don't smoke. And where I would be envious of you if you smoked, then I'm not, I feel sorry for you, you know, because you smoke, you know, and so it's, you know, it's not easy. I sometimes think about it, but it's, you know, fishing has been the worst, you know, be honest with you, but it gradually gets easier and easier, you know.
And how about the drinking? Any advice for anyone who sort of wants to knock that on the head?
Well, yeah, I mean, I done it with the aid of AA, you know, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't think I was I was getting drunk every night of the week, every night without fail, you know. And including when I was fishing. To be honest with you, my favourite drinking time was when I was fishing, because I could isolate, get away from everyone and drink as much as I like and get pissed as I like and all that. And you know, the good thing was, if I ever had a bite, it sort of immediately sobered me up. So no fish ever comes to any harm because of it. But you know, I come to plenty of harm, and you know, woke up in the bushes a number of times.
Really?
Pissing the sleeping bag, and
Wow.
you know, waking up with a wet sleeping bag, and you know, just not being able to function properly, basically, and yeah, but like anything else, you need to, with any addiction, you've got to want to back it up, you know. And I mean, addiction really is like being in a prison cell, but the key's on the inside. You know, only you can unlock it, you know, by whatever means. And when you realise it's an illness, if you've got an illness, you've got to treat it, and you've got to do something with it. And for me, it was AA that worked. I went to an AA meeting. For a start, I didn't think I was an alcoholic, because you know I weren't, you know, like, didn't have a raincoat tied up with a bit of string and sitting on the park bench, like, you know, and I didn't want to drink in the morning. And but when I went into that room, I was really surprised. Like, it was just ordinary people, different walks of life and all that, and having a laugh, laughing and joking, and you know, some of them a lot of years sober and all that, and I thought, you know what, I like this, and I could have, you know, I could have walked out that meeting, that first meeting, which was on a Monday night in Dartford, and stood on Big Ben and said, held my hands in the air and said, "My name's Lee, I'm an alcoholic." So I knew what was wrong with me, you know, what I had to do, and that's what because most of my drinking was in the evening time, when I got home from work. I just used to take myself out of my danger zone, go to an AA meeting, and by the time you get home, it's time to go to bed anyway. So you know, but you know, it's yeah. I mean, the advice to people is get help. You know, if you think unless you're ready, you know, you struggle to do it. You know, and I mean, things like Alcoholics Anonymous started with one. Out in 1935 in America, one alcoholic talking to another, and they were succeeding where the top doctors, you know, specialising in addiction, like drugs and drink, where they was failing, you know, and they couldn't, you know, they just couldn't believe it. Just one alcoholic talking to the other, got each other sober, and it was, you know, yeah, it's and to be honest with you, it's the same thing as what I said with the smoking. Like, I used to think of, I mean, a very famous fisherman passed a message to me 15 years before I ever took, I won't mention his name, before I even found AA or anything, and he just said to me, I said, what, he was having a social, it was all fishing in France in the winter time, all sitting around the bonfire, like, you know, and having a laugh, and I was having a great time. Like, my Wellington boots was melting on the bonfire, like, and everything, and you know, I thought I was having, you know, pissed out of my head, and I noticed this fella didn't drink. I said, "Don't you drink?" He said, "No." He said, "I haven't drunk for 15 years," and I thought, poor sod. Yeah, that's what I thought, you know, and then he mentioned AA and something about AA, and I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, but you still go?" And he said, "Yeah, I still go. So I go to an AA meeting about 3 times a week."
Really?
Oh, Christ, like, you know, whatever for, you know. But what I didn't know, he was passing the message. He knew I was an alcoholic, basically, but he knew all he could do is pass the message, plant the seed, and which he did, you know. And he was a real good friend, like, you know. Unfortunately, he died of cancer, but in recent years. But yeah, no, that was a message. But so, you know, yeah. I'm glad to be alcohol and fag free.
Well done, mate.
Yeah.
Good skills, yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, obviously being in a tackle shop for 32 years, you've seen the development of carp tackle from, you know, a fairly small number of companies to a huge number of companies, bait, tackle, everything else. I mean, what What would you say are the sort of items over the years that have made the biggest difference to fishing or have impressed you the most?
Blimey. I can think of one straight away, which is a spom. You know, it's that was a brilliant. I mean, I think the tackle box was one of the first, well, the first people he brought it to. You know, Brian and his wife Judith, and yeah, fantastic. You know, because I mean, all them years like spodding and like losing a bit on the way out, or it used to really get on your nerves. And I always think to myself, I reckon I've put a lot. I've baited up in effect. I'm baiting up 2 spots: yeah. The bit that falls out and the bit where it goes where it's supposed to be. Like, you know, so I think that's a big plus. Like, I think obviously rig components of. There's so many different rig components now that make catching carp easier. So that's been a big thing. You know, because of social media growing like it has, a lot of people know how to use the stuff now. You know, whether they know how to use it properly is another thing. Like, you know, and so that's progressed massively in the tackle and. I mean, things like bed chairs and bivvies and all that. That's just as.
I mean, the bed chair. I mean, when I first started, I got one of these hand-me-down sun loungers that clicked into place with a Nash cover on it. It was just tight in the middle and slack at the ends.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, and now look what we've got. It's a different world, isn't it? Really. Yeah.
I was at first. You know, when you started fishing, when I started carp fishing, it was an Argus. Sun lounger, like, you know, and you used to fall out the bottom of it eventually, you know, and but the only thing I would sort of say that stuff's got so big in it, you know. You know, bed chairs are great big things now, you know, bibbies are heavy things, and well, most of them are anyway, not all of them.
Well, we didn't used to use barrows, did we? Or, obviously, I'm a bit younger than you, but you know, when I first started, it was rucksack on your back, rod holder over your shoulder. Little chair under your arm and a water bottle in the other.
Yeah, that's right. The difference is you didn't take as much stuff, did it? You know, and I still look at my stuff now. I mean, it looks like I've got a lot of stuff because I use boxes, plastic boxes rather than bags.
It's a really good idea, that. Yeah.
Because I can just leave them out in the rain.
Any weather. Yeah. If they get like sort of dirty inside, you just wipe them out, can't you? Yeah. And also the rats can't get into them.
That's right. I can sit on and use it as a chair, like, you know, if I want, you know.
Or a footrest.
Footrest.
Yeah, no, I can see why.
But no, I think so tackle-wise, it's come on leaps and bounds. Bait has, I suppose, but I wouldn't necessarily say bait has got better. All I would say is there's more new things coming to bait, you know. But I wouldn't say it's any more productive than what the baits were in the 70s, you know, and. You know, it's just as people got more choice, and plus the fact, I mean, back in the 70s we wasn't buying ready-made baits, and you know, it was make your own, wasn't it? You know, so you learned, and bait was always my thing. You know, I was brought up in the Fred Wilton era, and I believe in the HMV theory, or nutritional value theory, that, you know, fish eat, although a carp or whatever, you know, it doesn't swim around the lake and think, oh, if I'll eat that, it's 90% protein or whatever. You know, instinctively, I think, unlike human beings, that even happens to human beings, I think sometimes, you eat, a fish instinctively eats its nutritional needs, you know, without knowing, you know, and I mean, I can remember years ago they'd done a survey in America of a load of school kids, and they just let them, you know, I think it went on for about a month or something, or 2 weeks or whatever. They just let them eat whatever they liked, you know, at school, and yeah. But all they had to do is they had to write it down. They had to write down what they was, or the teacher or whatever, you know, wrote down what they was eating, and. At the end of it, when they analysed what was, apart from all the shit they'd ate, you know, every single child, bar none, had a perfectly balanced diet, you know.
Wow.
So without sort of knowing, you know. So your body, I think your body sends messages to your brain, and it's a case of you taking notice of it, isn't it? Really, you know. Yeah. So I've always been mad on bait, and
when you see someone turn up at water and take it apart, you know, it's like always there are definitely baits, aren't there, that work 10 times better than other baits on certain lakes for whatever reason.
Yeah, but I think the main factor is, yeah, there's baits that instantly work ever so good, you know. But I think the main factor is if you can get a Furia on a good bait, and everyone's putting the same bait in, you know, no secrets, you know, you're all using the same bait and you're all putting it all in and everything. It's getting baited up with all round the lake, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
and
it becomes part of their natural.
And it's one of their natural. It becomes their natural diet. So you have Joe Bloggs who's never been carp fishing in his life, but can cast the rod out. He can catch a carp, you know, and it's that easy. You know, I mean, I've been on the dishing out end of it and the receiving end of it. I mean, when we used the club mix on, you know, myself, Paul Forward, and all the other lads and whatever, on Arrow. You know, we chopped dorsal, which was the biggest carp in there. I think it caught 8 times in 2 years. We caught it 7 times on the same bait.
Wow.
You know,
that shows mega you carp, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, proper special one that was. And
so whereas there was a few of you working as a team, if you like, or using the same bait?
Using the same bait, yeah.
Because there's been a few periods throughout, you know, the history of my carp fishing where I know certain lakes with certain people who've done that and absolutely taken it apart. But you don't really hear about anyone doing it these days, do you? It's almost like everyone's each for themselves these days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't seem to want to be sort of. They don't. I don't think they can't. The only thing a lot of people do the same. A lot of people use like EMP and stuff like that, don't they? You know, so in a roundabout way, that's a similar sort of thing. But you know, I mean, I like boilie fishing, to be honest with you. Yeah, I like catch. I've caught plenty over EMP and nuts and particles of various sorts, like, you know. But I prefer boilie fishing because it's actually easier, and I think, you know, when you look at the grand scale of things, everything's got big because of boilies, isn't it? You know, and you know, roach. Sorry, not roach necessarily. Like tench, bream, barbel, carp, obviously, and you know, they've got grown big, and so they obviously like it. You know.
So what particular boilies are you using then? What's it?
Well, at the moment,
yeah.
I'm with A2 baits at the moment. I've known Craig for quite a few years, and he's like me. He's always had an interest in Craig Outram. He's always had an interest in bait. Bait's his thing more than probably rigs or anything else, you know. And he used to make it, you know, like we all used to make our own bait, and he used to make it up for mates and everything. And then he just started his own bait company, and yeah, it's a good quality bait. And I mean, I've up to recent years, I would make my own bait or something, but then I think to myself, well, what's the point, you know? I might as well get some decent bait and just use it, and I haven't got the worry of making it and stuff like that. And basically, it's, yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, the flagship bait for many years has been, well, quite a few years, is creamy toffee. You know, it's just the instant bait and long-term bait as well, very digestible.
Good
and
one for the colder water.
Yeah, cold all year round basically. But this is their newest one, which is monster tuna. And
Nice.
I mean, you know, when the water temperatures warm up, I do like the old fish meal baits, and you know, with this, I mean, you smell that, you know it's going to catch carp before you even.
Yeah,
you
quite, you can smell that green lip in there, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
very carpy.
And I've done pretty good with it, you know, so far.
I've heard good stuff about them. Yeah, I must admit, they've got a good reputation, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. We've got a few years, and you know, and sort of Craig, you know, he makes a good bait, basically. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Well, you say you've only been on it sort of the last few months, but you've had a good few months, haven't you, mate? Yeah,
April, a couple of months really. Yeah, I've done well. Yeah, I've been, you know, I had fish up to fishing a big, you know, quite a big club water down in Kent, and I'd fish up to 41 £, getting bites every time I go, you know, and yeah, so I'm well pleased with it. You know, unfortunately, I lost 3 last week, you know, but it's just down to the swim I was fishing really, and bad luck. But if I'm gutted I lose fish, but it still tells me my bait works well. So everything works apart from landing the fish, you know. Yeah, so I'm never sort of too disappointed if I lose one, like, you know.
It sounds like there's a good head of the fish in there, so you're gonna have a good year on there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I might move on from there even. You know, it gets ever so busy, but and yeah, but I'll wait and see. You know, yeah, it's no. World's my oyster, really. You know?
Awesome. Right, well, good chat. Cup of coffee or tea for you?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'll have I might nick one of your coffees.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I've got some fresh stuff actually, all posh. Slowly, yeah, I thought I'd have a little look at your rig. Someone who's fished for all these years, you know, it'd be good to see what you've got, you know, what you feel is the best rig to use.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've sort of come up with modern day times all of a sudden, you know. I mean, for years I've used like this knotless knot, etc., and use what they used to somehow called the German rig. I don't know why. I was using that before they called it German rig, and but basically, I mean, I like the idea of being able to change your hook quickly, like, you know, and paranoid about having a sharp hook. So I've been using these Gemini Carp tidy booms. You know, this one is the Ronnie rig one, spinner Ronnie rig, and all that, and they're sort of like £22, I think, fluorocarbon. I haven't made up specially to be a little bit longer than normal. You know, as I explained earlier, I like to be a little bit different to the norm. Lead-wise, what you notice about lead, it's upside down. And the reason being like when a fish picks up that bait, it gets more resistance from the lead, about 45% more resistance than a conventional lead. And at the moment, these are available for a company called Aptus Tackle, and he calls them resist the bullet leads or something like that, you know.
Well, I've been quite busy with bits of bobs today filming, so we haven't had a chance to kind of get around the pond. But the sun's now just come out, it's brightened right up, it's warmed right up. And I've come down to these shallows, which is just next door to where we were. And yesterday there was a lot of fizzing out here, and I was like, that's got to be fish. There was different patches of it, but the light was so bad you couldn't actually see anything. So yeah, I thought, well, come and have a little look up here again. And I got up the tree down there, and I could see one just not far out, just off the reeds. So I kind of creeped into the reeds and pulled a few reeds back to have a little look. And this fish is bolted, and as it's bolted, about 10 other fish have bolted around the area as well. Just big eruptions and like clouds coming up, and yeah, it's obviously very shallow. It's obviously an area they want to be when it's warm, or in the daytime at least as well. So yeah, I thought, well, now I've spooked them out of the area, they're probably going to want to come back. I've not spooked them with a cast, so hopefully they should just naturally drift back in here. So I thought, right, I'll run down there. Got a couple of rods, set them up with like a solid bag, but not with the lead in the bag, so it's a normal hook link, and then I've just got the bait and some powder and a few maggots in the bag, and so obviously the lead will go down into the silkweed and the bag will just sort of settle on top with a little pile of sort of dusty bits and bobs around it. So hopefully I should have good presentation, and hopefully we might be in with a chance of a bite. I reckon I'm going to have to give it probably an hour or so to allow them a chance to drift back in and find that bait, but hopefully it might not take that long. Fingers crossed. There we go. very long. I'm looking at about half hour in total. Yeah, I can see they drifted back in literally after about 10 minutes. Like I say, because I didn't spook from past it. It'll take long to get back in there. It's a bit tricky with this other line. Let's get it out of the way. That's not good. Slippery rock. There you go. Lovely jubbly. How's it? Right. This is a bit risky, this one. Right, this fish is holding eggs, and it's that time of year where, you know, if they haven't done it already, they're about to do it. So no point getting out of the water. Better off keeping it safe in the water. Just gonna give it a little lift just to show you, if she'll let me. She doesn't want to. Come on, girl, just give me 5 seconds. No. Oh. Right, there we go. Nice little common, very plump with her eggs. Little bit of a mouth damage on the side there, on that side. The other side's all right. Oh, did you get Pickley? Now she's got the idea. All right, lovely. All right, nice to meet you, girl. She's an upper double, isn't she? She's close to 20.
Yeah.
Go on then. Whee! Well, mate, a few years ago we'd be finishing the session in the pub having a pint, wouldn't we?
Well, we probably would have, yeah. But I'll be, in my case, we can still go in the pub. I'll have a lime and soda.
I don't drink either, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
So,
right, yeah. But
yeah, Plan B worked out right in the end, didn't it?
yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do the Connybrook thing some other time, so that's something to look forward to. You know, fishing somewhere where I haven't fished for a long while again, and but it was nice to come back over here, and you know, well. It was a fish each, but you ended up catching another one down the edge further down the bank, you know, which was a bonus, wasn't it? You know,
Nice little opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just see, it's a nice place to fish, nice carp in here, and all the facilities, a cafe on the end of it, pub up there, and you know, and one of these places, all the gravel beaches, so therefore you turn up here with dirty boots and go home with clean ones. No, it's you know, it's nice to come back over here.
Yeah, well, I've been looking for somewhere a bit more local to have a little dabble, so
yeah.
I'll definitely be back.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, well, you're going to stay the night. I've got to get back and do some editing.
Yeah.
But if you do have a result, give me a shout and I'll pop down.
Yeah, we'll do, mate.
Only 15 minutes
I reckon
away.
it'll be another morning bite, you know, and you know, if I get one. But yeah, it'd be just nice to chill out for another night.
Like you say, 20 odd years since you fished it. Nice to be back.
That's it.
Brilliant. All right, Andy, so if anyone was interested in a ticket for here, can they drop you a message on social media?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the chances are it's full up at the moment, but you know, it's they can try, and I sort of, you know, because sometimes I let the extra members in later on in the year because a lot of people, you know, once other lakes open up and you know, people disappear, like, and it's important to have people on here for security reasons, really, you know, and so yeah, they can always get in touch with me, you know, via social media.
Brilliant. Okay, mate. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Well, mate, Andrew.
Massive well done to you for managing to knock all the drinking and smoking on the head. That's
thank you very much.
very impressive, mate.
Yeah, and thanks for your company. We really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, like you say, we'll be down the brook at some point. We'll cover that story, how you caught it, and we'll both get a little taste of the place again. Well, I say again, the first time for me, but yeah, I was quite excited about going down there. It's a shame that it worked out the way it did.
I mean, it's changed a lot from when I fished it, but there'll be a lot to talk about. It's the same lake, you know, in other words, albeit it's a bit bigger now when I fished it, because they knocked the two lakes together, you know. But looking forward to it.
Definitely, be nice to have a little dabble.
Yeah, and there's still a couple of originals in there that I didn't catch, so so they're old fish.
Excellent. Oh yeah, and the rester. You never know, that would be quite amusing, wouldn't it?
Well,
Catch
that's
that
right,
one out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Right, I look forward to that, Lee.
Yeah, okay,
Best luck for tonight.
Yeah, safe journey home.
Cheers.
Bye, mate.
So yeah, little change, big difference. Something I've like changed up a little bit, which made a really big difference. Yeah. When I was fishing up the ocean, up like Larkfield, I remember it was quite, you know, and it's always quite easy if you've got access with a boat. And you know what it's like, not everyone, but a lot of people tend to put in a lot of bait if they can, especially if it's that easy to do that, you know, row out there, tip a couple of buckets over a spot. I sort of did that to start with a couple of times up there, and sort of what I found was it didn't really do me any favours. It was like the tension, there was loads of big tension there, and they'd come along and you'd put a bucket of hemp and stuff and out there, and within an hour, it'd be completely covered in tench. You know, you'd get the odd bleep, and really, like, they'd move your rig, eat all the bait, and it'd all be game over. You know, you go out there the next day, have a look at it all, and think, well, what's gone on here? Like, you know, it's all gone. Rig's moved about 6 foot off the spot, and then it's all, like, you know. And I thought that this ain't the way forward. And yeah, in one particular weekend, I remember it was when I sort of first started up there. And I'd gone into this corner in the afternoon. It's a nice quiet corner away from all the windsurfers and canoers and all that stuff that goes on up there. And I thought, you know, it looks really good. And I sort of got in there and I see a couple of fish in that corner. I thought, oh wow, like, you know, here's a good chance. And I remember they'd sort of subtly kind of moved off out the bay and went over to this area where they were, and there's like this nice bar there and that. And I had sort of like half a bucket of bait. And I thought, right, just to like lower that down there on that sort of real obvious spot sort of thing, just like a tiger nut. And I put like quite a lot of bait around it, a few crushed boilies as well. And then went back to the bank, and yeah, and what happened, it was like nothing really happened, but it should have done, you know, because I knew that they'd come back onto the area. I was a bit bubbling up and all that, and I thought this is a really good chance, like, you know. But in hindsight, there's probably too much bait out there. Not that the tench were there, but it's just too much for that bite from them carp at the time. You know, there's only a couple of carp there. And that weekend sort of faded away. But I went back the following weekend, and it was the exact same scenario, you know. But this time, I went in there with a different approach, and yeah, and I lowered like the tiger down off the bar, down in this bottom bit of the slope of the bar, on a tiny little spot, and I just sort of spat out about six or seven other nuts, chewed up nuts around it, and put quite a lot of bait on top of the bar like I did the week before, just to sort of make them think, oh, like all the bait's up there and this stuff's fallen down sort of thing. And yeah, rowed back to the bank, and sure enough, about an hour later, I was aware that these two fish were back again. And then I thought, like, here we go, you know, this time round. And yeah, about probably another hour and a half later or whatever, and yeah, the rod's gone tearing off. And yeah, and it's one they call like the broke back linear, and he's a real like old character, this one. And yeah, and I caught him. It all went really well. I was ever so like happy, you know, first one out of there, mega old carp. And I rode back out there to put the rod out later, and hardly any of the bait on top of the bar had gone. It was all still pretty much exactly the same, but the little 6 or 7 nuts down the side, there was like 2 or 3 left. And that obviously, like the hook bait being one of them, had gone, and that was how I tripped that one up. So yeah, that was a great little way of explaining how changing things can make things a lot better. So yeah, that was a good one. Well, I'm sat here in glorious sunshine, joined by Tommy Decleen, who's come all the way from Belgium to fish St Ives for a week. You come to England every year, don't you, Tommy?
Yeah, we try to do like 2 sessions a year, like a spring and autumn. And yeah, this year we got invited by Gordy. He's been hammering on about come over to St Ives, come over to St Ives. It's the best complex in the country. So this year I thought, yeah, why not?
Well, I suppose you've got kind of a bit of pre-fired up for it because you watch Carp Angle, don't you? So you've seen a few fish from there, haven't you?
Yeah, I watch you, mate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your support and everything, mate. It's, yeah, it goes a long way. We first met like 20 years ago now, didn't we?
Yeah, it's even longer, I think, but yeah, more than 20 years ago. On that, you know.
Called a social. Yeah, that was a bit of a crazy one. We turned up at this lake and turned out it was about 12 inches deep for most of the way around, wasn't it? Yeah. And so we kind of...
Probably no fish in there.
We hit the beers instead, didn't we?
Yeah, funny. Yeah, it was cool.
I remember Nick Elliott decided about midnight that we should go off and do some chicken hunting to find a chicken to put on the barbecue.
They even ride the cows in the field.
Yeah, Damien I think was trying to ride a cow or something. And then Danny got his spools swapped round by Chris and Steve. And kind of lost the plot a bit, didn't he? Kicked the fire everywhere. And, anyway. You've obviously been fishing a long time. Because even then you'd been at it for a while, hadn't you? So
I've this year 39 years.
Wow. Yeah. You're 52 now, you say? Yeah,
52. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long old.
Long old beard.
No, it's a long time in the game, isn't it?
Yeah. I started fishing when I was 14. Yeah.
Nice.
Fishing for carp when I was 14. Yeah.
And so, what sort of lakes do you fish back home then?
Oh. I fish a lot on the. I used to fish a lot on the canals. Not so much anymore. I fish lakes, big lakes, small lakes. I'm currently fishing on a complex of lakes, and it's kind of I always call it the Belgian Yateley complex.
Really?
Yeah. Some cool fish in there.
Nice old lakes.
Yeah.
Got a lot of character.
Yeah, old fish. Yeah, nice fish. Yeah, some really nice fish in there.
I remember that one you had, was it a few years ago, 2-3 years ago? You had a mega carp, didn't you? So
that's from another, in the winter.
One of the bigger lakes, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big lake. That was the Necker. Yeah, that was in the winter. That was in, I think it was January or February.
Wow.
One of the two. Yeah, it was even snowing the day before. Yeah.
Incredible fish.
Yeah, that was the fish I bought a ticket for, and I fished it on and off for about 3 years. Yeah, but did not really feel the place. It was there's a lot of out of bounds and everything, and rules that you couldn't fish more than 60 meters from the bank, and you couldn't use leaders, and all these kind of stupid rules anyway. And but then in the winter I thought I have nowhere else to go, so I'll try again, and I caught him.
So was it like me, just turning up and getting a lucky opportunity, or did you prep to
I never prep. No.
Just fish in the moment.
Yeah. There was a wind blowing that way of the lake, and I said, try it.
Nice.
60, 70 yards from the bank, and in the morning it rattled off, and I was that fish.
And how big was that?
50 something.
Yeah, not that it matters. What an
no,
incredible
I'm not too bothered about weights anyway. I'm not like I'm not too anal about
numbers.
No.
So that was a mega result then.
Yeah.
You've always been a mainline angler as well, haven't you?
Yes, I've been with mainline since 99. Yeah, 99.
Long stint. So
I got introduced by Danny. Then he went like, oh yeah, you mainline this, mainline that. And then all of a sudden I got a call, and then he said, do you want to get sponsored by them? And I went like, yeah, well, that would be nice. He said, call Kevin, and from, yeah.
So what's your favourites?
My favourite is Activate. I'm still using it.
Classic, isn't it?
Yeah, I just love it.
And not that many people use it these days either, do they?
No, I like it. I like it. It's something, yeah, can't explain. I was talking about it a few days ago with Zen. He came down to visit.
Did he?
Yeah. And he was kind of involved with making the Activate. And he said, yeah, it's a very good bait. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly stood the test of time. So, what about hook baits? Do you tend to use it out of the bag, or do you?
I use all kinds of. I use a lot of pop-ups, fluo pop-ups, and this. Yeah.
Any particular favourites?
Not really. Just go with what catches me the fish. that's my favourite for a few sessions, and it can change. Or it can not change. I had quite a good result on the Scopex and Blackcurrant limited edition pop-ups from Mainline a few years ago, but also like the IBs.
Can't beat an IB, can
Yeah,
you?
with a bit of isotonic on it. Yeah, it's just.
It certainly stood me well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I use pop-ups from other companies as well, so. Can't say much about it, but yeah.
Oh, I think I had an ant in my coffee there. Lovely.
Yeah.
So how's the session going? You've been here a few days already, haven't you?
We fished 2 nights on Meadow. On Sunday we had a walk around, like you do. We walked like 14 kilometers in the day.
It's crazy, this
Over
complex,
here,
isn't
yeah,
it? There's so much water to look at.
It's mega, it's really mega.
Spoilt with a ticket up here, because you've just got, that's what I've always enjoyed about the place. If I can't find an opportunity on one lake, if it feels like it's just switched off, then I'll go elsewhere.
Yeah, you can go wherever you want.
But he's done a good job of the place, hasn't he?
It's fantastic.
Proper bit of fishing.
Yeah, and it got history.
Yeah.
That's what we love.
Yeah.
Well, me anyway, my friend as well. We are the same.
And he caught one this morning, yeah?
Yeah, he had one this morning, 32 common.
Was it Curtis?
Kurt,
sorry, yeah.
just Kurt.
Oh, so he's happy with that then?
Yeah, he's over the moon.
And he's on them now as well, isn't
Yeah.
he? So I reckon he's got a good chance of another one today. Yeah, nice. And you've got what, 4 more nights to go?
Yeah, till Sunday. Sunday morning we have to pack up early because we have a 12-hour ferry, so we need to be on our toes very quick on Sunday. But yeah, I just love it. If I don't catch, I don't catch. I don't care.
Especially when the weather's like this. It feels like you're on holiday, doesn't it, compared to yesterday?
I'm out with a good mate. Met some nice new people. Gordy, Martin, seeing you again. So life is good.
Zen?
Zen, yeah. I've never met Zen before, so.
Right, he's a character.
Yeah, he is a character.
Yeah, I've not seen him for quite a few years.
Yeah, he bought a jacket of me. He bought it in, I think in December, around December. I put a DM jacket, a camo jacket. I never wore it, and he went like, "Oh, I want that," and he paid 80 euro for it, and he just wanted the liner inside, the fleece. He says, "I don't want." I said, "You can give it away to somebody else because I sold it to you." So. Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He told some stories. Me and Kurt, we were both pissing ourselves.
Yeah, he's great storyteller.
Yeah.
I used to work for him actually years ago when I was like 17. Yeah, done a couple of seasons at Dream Lakes, and obviously because he's from Colchester as well.
Yeah.
I've sort of known him from sort of working in the tackle shop
Yeah.
too. But yeah, definitely.
He's
in fact,
a
to be honest
yeah.
with you, I should try and get him on the show because he's very entertaining.
Yeah, he's 72, eh?
Is he now?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, I need to get him on before he's not about it.
Yeah, that's true. It's a funny guy.
Cool. So, apart from England, then, do you go to like France fishing at all? Or?
I'm not really.
You've got enough on your doorstep, I suppose, haven't you?
Yeah,
Or well, in your country. At least.
Yeah. I've never been a really. I've fished in France, but I've never really. Yeah. Got on with France. I caught some nice fish in France on the commercial, like on Sky Lake and everything, but. Yeah, that commercial side of the fishing, it's not really my thing. Go to France and pay a lot of money to fish on a lake. I rather fish over here. Or I would pay for 500 quid to fish on a place like this, but 500 euro or something, or 700 euro or whatever, for a week's fishing in France. No, that's not my thing.
Well, you're pretty spoilt with what you've got in your country anyway, haven't you? What about the canals? Do you do much on them?
I flit about when, I'm not like, I can't stay on a particular place for a long time. I need to fish all over the place, and this year I'm trying to get back on the Albert Canal for some time. I had a tip from somebody, and he said, this section is a good section to fish. From that time to that time, so yeah, I probably will be fishing this summer. Normally I don't fish in the summer, but yeah, till August I'm probably going to fish on the Albert Canal.
Sounds good, mate.
I say it now, but it could all change next week or something. it's never written in stone. Yeah.
Fair play. All right, well, I wish you the best of luck for the rest of your session. If you do catch one, send us a little video clip.
I will.
And we'll drop it in on the end of this.
If you want some pictures for this or whatever, I can send you some pictures as well.
And obviously it would be rude to say, you know, have you got anything interesting that maybe we could come over and film one day?
Yeah.
With, Carp Angle does Belgium.
The complex I fish at the moment, it's been, can I say, flooded by English?
Ah, right, is that one?
Yeah, that's that one, yeah.
Yeah, nice old fish in there, aren't they? Yeah. So, can you get me a guest?
You just have to buy a ticket.
Just buy a ticket, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
That's just the national ticket for Belgium, for Flanders.
So a public ticket.
50 euro, and you can come wherever you want.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, well,
if all the other superstars can come, you can come as well.
I'm no superstar.
No, but
just your average Joe.
Yeah.
So what should we say then? Maybe potentially autumn, but we'll speak about it nearer the time.
Yeah.
Be a good time to come and have a few days, maybe.
I'm coming to England in the autumn, so we have to check our dates.
Yeah, sweet. Right, we'll get your people to speak to my people and arrange it. So,
right,
best of luck, mate.
It was nice to see you again.
Cracking fishing here, and I really hope you managed to catch one or two.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
The end of your trip.
Yeah.
I've got faith in you, mate.
Yeah.
You'll have them. Howdy, 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 hi. Right, well, back down Long Reach again. It's my 40th birthday in a couple of days. So I thought I'd get down, have a quick session before I fly off to the Maldives. No, I'm joking. I'm absolutely skint, so I shall be down here for my 40th. Feels a little bit sad, doesn't it, fishing on your birthday, but yeah, everyone else is going to be working. Didn't really have any other options, but I'm not that sad because I have got a birthday party on Saturday. Hired a boat in London, and yeah, we're going to have a proper session all night long, so that'll be good fun. But in the meantime, we're building up to a full moon at the end of the week, and I've got an itch, and that itch is for a big common which hasn't been caught for 7 years, which is the one that I've not had out of Long Reach, the friendly common, or not so friendly common. And there's a lot of people think I'm absolutely crazy to stay on it for it because they're convinced it's not in here anymore. But I've seen it every year, 3 years. So I know it's in here, and that kind of spurs me on to want to catch it even more. And to be honest with you, that is one of the main reasons I joined St Ives in the first place,
for that one and the friendly. So I've got to keep going if I know it's in here, which I do. Well, obviously I've not seen it this year yet, but no reason why it shouldn't be here still. And yeah, just got to keep plugging away, I guess. The area I've seen it most is this corner here, along this margin and in front of this swim. So with not a lot else to go on tonight and the rest of the lake being pretty busy, I thought I'd drop in here and try and work this spot along this margin over the next few days. I prefer to stay mobile on this lake where possible, and I will be if I see him fish anywhere, but I don't know, this spot owes me a big fish. I've caught a few small ones off it in the past. God, there's a right old racket going on in the background, I'm sure you can hear it. Our boy racers tearing their motors about, ripping their tyres to shreds in the car park over the back there. Nutters. So anyway, yeah, I was ramping this spot up ready last year, and then they ended up spawning one morning when I was fishing in here. They were spawning up the other end, so that was the end of here for a few weeks. God, it's an absolute racket, isn't it? Shut up! So yeah, I feel like this spot here owes me a good fish, and at the moment where there's been quite a bit of pressure, I imagine the fish are sort of pushing out along that buoy line, which is like the out of bounds area, and this is, you know, sort of as close to them as you can get along the actual margin itself. So yeah, fingers crossed, we might be in with a birthday carp. Might be pushing me luck a bit, and I'm not expecting one because I don't want to get myself all hyped up and then be depressed because I haven't caught one. I'm just going to enjoy the session, fish as hard as I can, and fingers crossed, might get a special result. I've actually sat down and worked out how many fish are in this lake roughly from what I know and others know, and there's only about 5, maybe 6 that I've not caught. Only one of them has been out in the last 4 years, so yeah, I'm definitely up against it here. But you who dares wins and all that. Come on the friendly, let's be having ya. Well, hello and good morning. God, looking a bit rough and all, give us a second. That'll wake me up. Right, quite a old night, long reach. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really expecting anything last night, but yeah, I've seen a few this morning. I got up at 4:45, and I've seen probably 5 or 6, but right out in no man's land, the unreachables, kind of where I'd expect to see them at this time of the day, with this kind of weather, you know, not much wind, pretty calm out there. But this area I'm fishing, I'd say it is more of a daytime area, and the boats are going to be out today, so they're going to be tearing around, making loads of disturbance, and this corner's kind of out of the way. The boats don't really come through here much. If they use the buoy line, they cut through where them red buoys are there, and then obviously they go up and down that, but they hardly ever use that, to be fair. So I reckon when they're tearing about out there, there's a good chance that fish are going to gravitate to that back margin, and hopefully there'll be a bit of sun out, because I do like creeping along here when the sun gets out. So yeah, I'm still confident. Oh, there's one. Probably about 200 yards away, but just off the margin, only like 10 yards off that margin. So yeah, there you going again. That's a good sign, that is. I don't know what's going on down there. Something going on down there, unless it's an otter. It might well be an otter, actually. Let's get my binoculars out. Let's have a little look. Little looky. You've got to have the old binoculars on these big pits. Yeah, there's definitely something going on. What is going on? You know what? I think there might be 2 otters there. Ah, that's not a good sign. Let's just wait and see if they come up. But yeah, I thought they looked a bit of a strange bit of movement. Yeah. Buggers. Yeah, it really puts the fish on edge when these otters are around. as you'd expect, got something hunting you that wants to rip you to shreds, then yeah, you're going to be on your guard. Well, that's not a good sign. We didn't want to be seeing that. Right, another coffee, I reckon. Gutted. It's my birthday tomorrow. Can't you just go away? Last day of the 30s. Scary stuff. Tell you what, it's actually pretty carpy today. It's been a bit of drizzle, it's quite cool. Speedboat's been tearing around the rest of the lake. About an hour ago I saw one about 150 yards up this bank, about 30 yards out, so that was a pretty positive sign. And then I just, like, the water calmed off a bit. I thought I'll have a little look with the binoculars where I'm fishing. And literally I'd only been looking about 10 seconds and a little plume of bubbles popped up, bang on the money. So yeah, I'm feeling quite confident as it goes. Good chance there might be tench, because I've caught a few tench off that spot before, but there's also a good chance there could be carp. I know they use this margin, and like I say, because of the conditions that we've got, I think this margin's quite favourable today. So yeah, could be in with a chance. Come on, the universe, what you got for us? Come on, a friendly. Well, it's official. Little Joe is 40. Oh well, they say life begins at 40, don't they? So let's go, let's go. Right, didn't have anything last night, so no birthday carp this morning for me yet. Did see half a dozen yesterday afternoon up along the buoy line, but inside the buoy line. So, you know, along this margin, not only sort of 30, 40 yards from the bank. And yeah, still good sort of 120 yards away from where I'm fishing, but over this area. And today the wind's meant to turn, coming sort of like up this way more. Not a lot, like only sort of 6-7 miles an hour, but tomorrow it's going up to like 11, and that's going to get a run up all the way down the lake. So I reckon tomorrow's probably going to be the day. I don't actually like playing this bait and weight camping game, to be honest with you, but sometimes it feels necessary. And obviously I haven't caught the friendly doing what I normally do so far, so it seemed like it's worth a go, giving it a punt. It's not meant to be that warm today. I think it's meant to be cloudy most of the day, which is a bit of a shame. Would be nice, my sunny birthday and a barbie in it. Tomorrow's meant to be nicer. So yeah, I'm just gonna chill out. It's about 6:15 at the moment. Been up since 5:45. Not seen anything this morning other than an otter that came past to wish me happy birthday. About 10 yards, no, not even that, 2 rod lengths out. It was just going along all normally and like not caring the world. And I was like, "Oi, bloody otter, what are you doing? It's my birthday." And he just kind of looked at me like, "But what are you talking about, mate?" And then dived down and disappeared. I think it was just coming through here. I don't think it was actually hunting. And it was a small one as well. I reckon it was probably a young one. But anyway, I'm pretty sure when they're about, you know, the fish just get put on edge and don't show as much. And like I say, I've not seen anything this morning, so that suggests potentially that's why. But you never know. Sometimes it's just to do with the weather and that. But anyway, chin up, Morgan. It's your birthday. We're going to party like it's your birthday. Longreach, can I please have a birthday carp today? I know asking for the friendly is probably expecting a little bit much, but a carp would be nice. Cheers. Well, a tip top of the morning to you. It's been a gruelling old session. Since the last left you, I didn't have anything in that swim that night. Moved into this swim yesterday and again didn't have anything last night. I did see a couple yesterday, sort of early evening, out here as well. It was almost like they moved up here a bit because I hadn't seen anything all day. And then 2 fish showed in about 5 minutes. Not long after Marcus had been having a good cast around down there, so I don't know whether he just pushed them out of that zone. But anyway, I've got a bit of news for you, because yesterday I sat here adding everything up, and basically, from what I know of, the fish that are in here, there's only 5 that I haven't had, and there's only 1 of them that's been out in the last 4 years. A couple of them are probably not in here anymore, and as I say, the others don't really get caught much. And I think I've done about 90 nights on here, had, what was it, 31 fish or something like that. And yeah, to sit on here and continue for 1 fish that hasn't been out for 7 years, you know, if you add up all the rod hours that have been put in those 7 years, for me to keep coming back, trying to catch that one, well, I think life's too short, to be honest with you. Certainly the way I'm doing it. I will potentially come back in the summer, try and get eyes on it, you know, try and stalk it potentially, but just playing 100% lottery in a lake like this, which is super, super rock hard, you know. I have been really lucky with the results I've had on this place, and it's one of them waters where everything is against you, you know. Half of it is out of bounds. Obviously you've got the speed boats on here a lot. The natural food in this lake is just beyond ridiculous. Like, these carp have the best restaurants they could possibly wish for at every different turn. With the layout of the lake, all the different bars and gullies, you know, it's just, yeah, it's a minefield really, and can be extremely tough. So how long do you want to sit on the water catching the same fish, potentially spoiling other people's chances of catching them, because these big ones in here don't come out often at all. And if I was to catch, you know, the fish I've already caught, then potentially taking away someone else's chances of that. So yeah, I've weighed everything up, and for now I'm going to call it a day for Longreach. I say call it a day. Like, for this moment, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to come back when it's warmer, when I've got more chance of finding them in the edge, and yeah, never say never. I'm sure I will be back for another go, but for now, I need to find myself a new water. I've got the shallow. Obviously there's Laney's in there, 50 pounder, and a couple of other 40s, 3 40s I think. But I don't know, there's something about that lake that I don't really gel with. You know what it's like, some lakes you love, some you don't, and I don't know, maybe if I do a few more sessions up there I might get a buzz for it. But yeah, I could do with finding somewhere a little bit closer to home really, save a few quid on petrol. Right, well, I'm going to give it a few more hours anyway, you never know, one of these might go and it might be the friendly on the end. How funny would that be? Super unlikely, but the universe works in weird and wonderful ways. That's a lovely morning. Well, I nearly went home, didn't I? Yeah, packed up at 6 o'clock this morning, and well, for a couple of reasons I didn't want to go home. 1, I haven't caught anything on my birthday session. 2, it's full moon tonight, and 3, Laney's is well due out of the shallow lake. So come and had a little look over here before leaving, and just as I was coming in the gate, a guy was leaving off to work, and he said he was in the end of Island, which I know is a prime swim for kind of that main chunk of the lake, the middle section, should I say. So yeah, that old stupid saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, what does that even mean? I mean, obviously I know, you know, in what context you use it, but it just doesn't make any sense, does it? So yeah, if you understand that one, comments below. Right, so plan of attack. I'm literally just doing one night. I've got to go tomorrow, so I'm not worried about like finding a spot, getting some bait in, you know, making a blatant trap. I want to just get in amongst where those fish are and try and nick a bite. And to do so, I'm going to put one on a short zig, bit of black foam, top with a couple of maggots, and then the other two, instead of my usual IB pop-ups, which I used on here last week, and I've done that one night and didn't have anything. But also, you know, this is a very pressured lake, and they've seen it all many, many times. So I don't know, maybe a blatant yellow pop-up is just a bit too predictable. So I thought I'd try something a little bit different, and basically I've gone for a food bait pop-up that is a hybrid, and then I've just got a bunch of maggots on the top of that. It's about 15 maggots there, just tied down into a little ball. So it's really neat, and from above all you can see is that bunch of maggots. This one, as you can see, I've gone for mostly blue maggots just because it's different, isn't it? It's not a colour they often see. And when I was younger, whenever we used to go to the tackle shop and we'd get mixed maggots and add blue ones in, blue were always the winners. So yeah, I thought I'd give that a little go. And then the other one, exactly the same, but more of like a red and white bunch on there. And so yeah, I'm just gonna wang them out to the area where I know the fish are spending most of their time at the moment, and just feel for a drop. I don't want to be whipping the water to a foam. I just want to get out there as stealthily as possible and be fishing nicely. Like I say, hopefully we can nick a bite. I shall keep you posted. I'm a bit burnt out, as you can see. I'm looking very tired, but yeah, we're gonna give it one last go. One more last night. Obviously this is a 6-nighter. It's the longest session I've done in a very long time. And yeah, to be honest with you, I think that every lake should enforce a 72-hour rule, not just so that people aren't taking up swims for, you know, long periods of time, but also just for people's mental wealth, because I don't think you should be fishing more than 3 nights at a time, you know. It sends you bloody mad. I've been talking to the birds and yeah, talking to myself. Anyway, right, come on ladies, let's go. Well, finally, we've got a prize. Took 6 nights and a change of lake and a lot of determination, but we got there in the end. Yeah, yesterday, after sort of having a little flick around out there, I soon realised there's a lot of low-lying weed out there, sort of low eelgrass and Canadian, and I didn't want to be whipping the water to a foam, making loads of disturbance to try and find a few small spots. So had a little change of plan, took off the spinner rigs, tied up some 1.5 foot zig rigs, but like a beefed up one, so it's like 15-pound IQ and a size 4 wide cape, and then used exactly the same hook baits that I showed you before, sort of 3/4 of a hybrid pop-up, and then a little bunch of maggots on the top of that. And it was actually the blue ones that done the business. Yeah, just before first light, this rod here, the left-hand one, sort of couple of little bleeps, woke up, come out, looked at the bobbin. Just as I looked at the bobbin, line pulled out of the clip, and yeah, I had a bit of a tussle with it, but it came in fairly easily considering the length of this fish. It's yeah, it's ridiculously long. I think it's one they call a double belly common. which should be about £37 or something like that. So yeah, I'm buzzing, over the moon. Just waiting for this light to get a little bit better and one of my batteries to charge up, and we'll get him out. I say him, looks like him. In fact, it's like a, if I was a carp, that's probably what I look like, you know? Long and skinny, lanky one. Right, I'm gonna finish this coffee, wait for that light, and then get my bride out to show you. Happy days. Belated birthday present.
The length on that is absolutely ridiculous. 36 pound of chub. Sorry mate, don't mean to offend you. You're a super cool carp, mega character, and I am very, very happy to meet you. You've made up for a long old birthday blank on Longreach, and yeah, mega chuffed to get one of the known big uns out of here. Sweet, happy days.
Take the other one, that'll be better. But...
Oh, I got wet. Yeah, proper wet there. Oh.
Don't fall in there.
Might be a dodgy mic. See.
Oh God, this mic were on there. It's a comedy moment.
A carp wrestler. Normally get them though, don't I? Oh.
You have to get in front of that, there's a reed right in front of it. That's it, that's the one. Beautiful. Beautiful, mate.
Dripping wet.
That's the one, that's the one.
Dippy one. And a good mouth on you, mate. Yeah. Little mouth as well.
Whee! Right then, that's it for another show. That was a long one, wasn't it? Hopefully you're all still here. For those that are still here, competition prizes for last month, we had 20 kilos of urban bait boilies to give away, and that came with a bottle of liquid and 2 tubs of pop-ups. And the winners of those are Gary Rushton and Matt Clark. We also had a Carp Life bird torch, and the winner of that is Michael Broadbent. Now they're a brilliant bit of kit that's really helped me out this week. I was on a lake that had loads of tufties on it. They were constantly coming onto the spot and picking up my rig, and even in the daytime I was able to shoo them off with one of those torches. So a really good bit of kit and something that every angler kind of needs. Talking of things that every angler needs, this month's competition prize, or one of them, is a Carp Life collapsible toilet. Now these are super handy to have. Obviously sometimes lakes don't have toilets, but also there's sometimes where you don't want to be leaving your rods or winding in your rods first thing in the morning when you need to go and have that clear out. So you can just pop this in your bivvy, zip the doors down and stink the gaff out. No, they are really a brilliant bit of kit that's well worth having in the car, or just take everywhere you go with you, especially if you're kind of going to France on these sort of longer trips. Aside from that, I've also got 10 lots of tails up corns to give away, one of each of the sizes in the different colours. They do them in white and yellow, and they also do them in large, the super corns or the standard corns, and they are a fantastic product. These days there's lots of lakes that actually ban plastic, which I can totally understand, because if you crack off a rig, then that rig is always fishing, because that plastic is going to last pretty much forever. So yeah, I can totally understand why a lot of venues are banning their plastic baits these days, and why Tails Up have brought out this epic little product which is going to help you catch plenty of carp. Right, well, if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning one of those, you just have to make a £5 or more contribution. I think there was only about 145 contributors last month. Obviously, when I moved over to subscription in the past, I think I was up to 700 within 2 months, and it's probably something I'm going to have to look at doing if the contributions don't start going up soon. I hate asking for money, it's not something I like doing, but obviously with this project, the way I'm doing it, to keep it on YouTube, I do need the support. On that note, obviously there's lots of companies out there who struggle to get their products in front of a lot of people. So if you're a small company, well, not even a small company, it could be a big company, and you'd like to get your products on the show, then I'm going to start doing the odd review stroke preview. Maybe you've got a day ticket lake or an exclusive hire lake that you'd like to get a promo video made for. Well, tap me up and I can have a little discussion about prices and what have you. But yeah, I've got to do all I can to keep this channel on YouTube. Otherwise, over the next couple of months, I'm going to definitely have to look at moving it to a subscription, which I don't want to do because I've said many, many times before, the whole reason I wanted this to keep this on YouTube is so that those people who wouldn't watch it if it was on a paywall get to see it, you know what I mean? And we can kind of inspire those people to get out fishing, because we know that fishing is really good for our mental wealth. And there's a lot of people struggling with mental health at the moment. You know, we all have our ups and downs. I've had them myself. It's part of life, part of the parcel, I guess. And yeah, I guess we just kind of need to try and support each other through those times to make it a little bit easier. Right then, I'm going to leave it there. I'll be back on the first Sunday of July. Have a lovely month, get yourself out fishing, lap up some sunshine, get the barbie on, and yeah, have a lovely time. I'll see you in around about 4 weeks.